This is my daily commentary. I'm going to talk about some of the problems that happen when a development company becomes big. I worked at a large number of large software development companies that all did website development. And I worked for the largest online game company at the time. They were one of the top 10 websites in the world. I worked at the number one website developer. For example, we designed Amazon.com's homepage. And I worked for British Airways and MetLife and Sprint PCS, American Express. I did American Express's first web page and Wall Street Journal's first web page. I worked on some big projects. And all the companies I worked for were top companies. And I was always one of the first 30 or 40 employees. And what happens is the first employees that join are taking a risk. They're risk takers. Even though you got a small company, say, oh, yeah, don't worry, I'll work for you. I'll take a low salary. And they're the ones that are a little bit more dedicated to the company. And then when the company expands, you get people that are just looking for a job and they're switching to make more money. They don't care about the company. And what happens is I would go to my boss and say, I found a bug. You should call the client and tell them there's a bug over here. And the manager would say, no, I'm not going to tell them that. Let them figure it out on their own. How am I supposed to explain to the client that there's a bug? The manager didn't want to deal with the problem, so they just ignored it. And there were times when we would say, hey, we got this great idea. Let's tell the manager we want to develop this. Because the developers want to develop and the graphics designers want to design. But everybody else in the company could care less. So you'd go to your manager and say, yeah, we want to add this feature to the game. And the manager would say no. They would say they're too busy. They got too many other things to do. What managers did for all the companies I worked at, they work for their boss. They don't care about your ideas, even if you have a solution to something. They kill projects. What they want to do is the least amount of work, so they're trying to find ways not to do work, which means killing as many projects as possible. And the manager's not supposed to do that. The manager's supposed to do the opposite. The manager is supposed to make sure projects get done. Um, so the other thing that happened, we eventually said, let's just go to the boss, go to the owner of the company. And we would go to the owner of the company. We sat down, we pitched him ideas, and he didn't care. And it's like, why would you not want a new game on the website? And we found out the reason why. He was more concerned with selling the company than developing the company. You understand what I mean? Like, our website was like the number 2 website of all websites in terms of traffic, or maybe it was number 8 or something like that. It was in the top 10. And he was number 1 for online games and number 2 for advertising. And, like, for example, Sony PlayStation launched their company on our website. We launched Sony PlayStation. Originally, it was Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy online. It was not a hardware console. And what we discovered is that the boss did sell the company. He sold it to a competitor that did online advertising, because the online game site was essentially to sell ads. So we learned, they didn't want to develop anything. They didn't want to do anything. And so we actually have some funny stories. What I discovered was one of the game developers, he made his own games and he put them online without telling anybody. And he would do it after hours, like after 6 p.m. when everybody would go home. And then he would stay late. And then late at night, he would take it offline. And nobody knew he was doing it. He told me. I said, when are you going to put this game online? He said, I already put it online. And I developed a tournament system, high score tables. And what we discovered was that when you do like the high score tables and tournaments, people play way more games, not double or triple. It's like 5 times as many games because everybody wanted to get the high score. And he did the same thing. He didn't even ask the boss. He just put the game, he just added it online to all the games, and gameplay just shot up. And when gameplay shoots up, advertising revenue shot up. And so that's, the point that I was making. I worked for a lot of companies that sold out to investors. DoubleClick sold to Google, Interactive. So I don't remember what company they sold to, like began with a V or something. Then another company, I don't remember the name of the company. Um, it was like the number 16 website. It was an email marketing company. I guarantee you got emails from them. It was a long time ago, 20 years ago, and they sold out to another company. And that's the goal of a lot of these companies. They try to build some sort of value and then sell the company, which means that development isn't always a focus. And then the company is filled with managers that really could care less about developing anything. They want to do the least amount of work as possible. And they suppress bugs, anything that would hurt a client. They don't want to tell the client. Um, and then there's developers with nothing to do and they get bored. Developers will quit a company because the company doesn't give them any work to do because they get bored doing it. And what happens to a lot of people, graphics designers and developers alike, is that they get so much of a learning experience by having a job. I learned a lot on my own, but on the job, I didn't learn so much on the job. They gave me easy assignments. On my own, I learned a lot more. But a lot of graphics designers on the job, they're doing the work of a lifetime as long as they're being given assignments. And a lot of developers, a lot of the work they get is not challenging. Like I remember one of my projects was I had to take all the all the submission forms, all the web forms. There were like 100 different web form scripts, and I unified them all into one program, one script. And it's like an easy project. It took me a few days to do it. You know what I mean? So that's one of the issues you have with these companies. If they're trying to sell the company, development goes down. If they got bad managers, then development goes down. I'm going to tell you, World of Tanks, they did a great job developing new battle modes and all sorts of features in the game. They did a great job, except for maps. With maps, they did a lousy job. And, they're trying to monetize everything. That's a bad sign. That's a sign of a company that's going out of business. They're trying to squeeze pennies out of their customers. Victor, the founder of the company, many years ago, he made a comment. He said something like, "Build the best game, and don't worry about the rest." And that's true. What you do is you build the best product, and they did that. But now they're doing is they're squeezing pennies. And the reason why I'm saying this is because today I've been looking at other games that are tank related by other companies. I'm going to tell you, they might be just starting out. They're going to give wargaming a run for its money. It's not going to be long. Some of these developers have really good ideas, and their technology isn't so bad. The graphics are pretty good and the gameplay is pretty good and it's easy to play. They're going to attract all the new players because it's just easier to use their software. And it's not like you don't feel the toxic environment you get from a game where people are allowed to hate on new players, for example. Um, okay, so that's my daily commentary. Um, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.